Have you ever walked into a room full of people and felt like you were watching life happen from behind glass? Conversations flow, laughter echoes, inside jokes bounce around the air, and yet somehow you feel slightly out of sync with it all. Not rejected exactly, not unwelcome, just different. Like everyone else received a social manual you somehow missed. If that feeling sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many people quietly move through life with the subtle but persistent sense of being outsiders. It's not always dramatic. It doesn't always show up as loneliness. Sometimes it's a quiet awareness that you don't quite belong anywhere fully. Not at school, not at work, not even within your own friend groups. You adapt, you participate, you smile. But internally there's distance. And here's the surprising truth. Feeling like an outsider isn't necessarily a sign that something is wrong with you. In many cases, it reflects complex psychological processes tied to identity, perception, sensitivity, and even intelligence. Let's start with the idea of social belonging. Human beings are wired for connection. From an evolutionary standpoint, belonging meant survival. Being excluded from a tribe thousands of years ago wasn't just emotionally painful, it was dangerous. That ancient wiring still lives inside your brain today. So when you feel like an outsider, your nervous system reacts as if something important is missing. But the outsider feeling doesn't always come from actual exclusion. Often, it's rooted in perception. You might be included socially, yet still feel disconnected internally. That happens because belonging isn't just about physical presence. It's about psychological resonance, the feeling that others truly see and understand you. Some people develop outsider feelings early in life. Maybe they move frequently as children, constantly adapting to new environments. Maybe their interests, personality, or emotional depth didn't align with peers, or perhaps they grew up feeling misunderstood by family members. Over time, the brain learns a quiet narrative. I am different. And once that narrative forms, it tends to follow you into adulthood. Interestingly, many outsiders are highly observant individuals. When you feel slightly removed from a group, you naturally become a watcher. You notice subtle dynamics others miss, tone shifts, body language, social hierarchies, emotional undercurrents. Psychologically, this is sometimes called the observer self. You're participating in life while simultaneously analyzing it. This dual awareness can feel isolating, but it also creates depth. Outsiders often develop strong introspection, creativity, and empathy. Another factor is identity complexity. People with layered identities may struggle to find environments where all parts of themselves fit seamlessly. Imagine trying to merge multiple versions of yourself into spaces that only accommodate one. Over time, you may learn to compartmentalize. And while this adaptability is a strength, it can reinforce the sense that no place holds the full you. There's also the role of sensitivity. Individuals with high emotional sensitivity often feel like outsiders because they experience the world more intensely. They notice emotional nuances others overlook and feel deeply affected by interactions. In surface-level environments, this can create a mismatch that feels like isolation. Social comparison plays a powerful role too. Your brain constantly measures your experiences against perceived norms. If you believe others navigate relationships effortlessly while you struggle internally, the outsider identity strengthens, but many people feel this way silently. Another psychological layer involves authenticity. Outsiders often value authenticity highly. They may resist social norms or group behaviors that feel misaligned with their inner identity. While this preserves integrity, it can also create distance. Then there's the paradox of independence. Some outsiders develop strong self-reliance. This independence can be empowering, but it can also reinforce separation. Interestingly, feeling like an outsider is often linked with creativity and innovation. Many thinkers, artists, and visionaries describe themselves as separate from mainstream culture. Psychologically, this distance allows unconventional thinking. However, the outsider experience isn't purely empowering. Persistent feelings of not belonging may lead to loneliness or self-doubt. You might question whether the problem lies within you. But here's a gentle reframe. Feeling like an outsider doesn't always mean you don't belong. Sometimes it means you haven't yet found aligned environments. Belonging isn't a universal destination, it's contextual. Belonging exists on a spectrum. You may feel partial belonging across multiple spaces. There's also a psychological shift when outsiders meet other outsiders. Suddenly, difference becomes shared identity. Conversations deepen quickly, and understanding feels effortless. The outsider identity isn't about incompatibility. It's about mismatch with environments. The outsider perspective can become a source of meaning. When you accept your unique position, you gain psychological flexibility. You can move between spaces while maintaining authenticity. Self-compassion plays a key role in this transformation. Outsiders often hold themselves to unrealistic social expectations, but emotional connection isn't required in every environment. There's also value in redefining belonging internally. Many outsiders discover belonging within themselves. This internal belonging makes authentic connections easier. View the outsider experience as a psychological vantage point. You navigate life with awareness others develop later. Belonging isn't about fitting into every room. It's about finding spaces where you don't have to shrink or perform. Sometimes those spaces are small or unexpected, and sometimes they begin with the relationship you build with yourself. Maybe you're not standing outside life, but slightly apart from the noise. That distance isn't emptiness, it's perspective, and perspective is powerful. You might start noticing moments of quiet belonging, a conversation that feels real, a space where silence feels comfortable, a person who understands without explanation. These subtle moments show belonging exists somewhere meaningful. Feeling like an outsider doesn't disqualify you from connection. It often prepares you for deeper, authentic forms of connection. Reflect. When do you feel most yourself? In what environments does your mind feel calm rather than performative? What happens if you view difference as identity rather than isolation? Because sometimes outsiders are simply those brave enough to remain themselves anywhere. Share your experience as recognition rather than confession. You might be surprised how many others carry the same story. And in that shared awareness, the line between outsider and insider begins to fade.